Alright guys, let's make some super cheesy baked spaghetti. This is a totally fun dish to make when you're cooking for a large group, and I'm cooking for about 25 today. So I'm going to start with a little bit of onion and some olive oil. We're just going to soften that up a little bit and throw in our ground beef. This I'm just going to start breaking it up, move it around. I probably could have used a bigger pan, but that's okay. Now I'm going to switch it over to the industrial size whisk method to use this to break up that meat. This works really well. Get it kind of broken into little chunks. Meanwhile, I'm going to cook my spaghetti at the same time. I go ahead and pound it on the bottom. That allows the plastic to break through and I get it out of that package real easily and quickly. And I'm going to throw that into some boiling water. Now the pan I'm using, I can fit 4 1-pound packages in there. And I got to keep it moving around because I don't want it to burn to the bottom. That's very important right when you start cooking pasta, is move it right away because that's when those starches get real sticky and that's when it'll burn to the bottom and that gives you that scorch. And you definitely don't want scorched pasta. That's the absolute worst taste in any sort of dish. So we keep that moving around. We'll keep that ground beef moving around. Now I'm not going to season this yet. I'm going to let it get cooked all the way through before I add any sort of additional flavor to it. So we're just going to keep cooking this. I'm going to cook the pasta. I've got several things going on in the kitchen right now. So as soon as that ground beef is done, we're going to want to strain all the fat out of there. Now this is not one of those times when you can just throw a paper towel in and let it sop up a little bit of that grease. There is a lot more going on here when you got 10 pounds of meat working. So you see it all in there. It's practically bubbling. So what I'm going to do is take that over to my sink. I'm going to use something that we call a china cap. I'm going to go ahead and carefully pour that meat right in there. It's going to start draining all that fat out of there. But I want to leave a little bit of fat in there because, you know, fat is flavor. So I'm not going to let it all go out, just the majority. Then I'm going to put it back in my dish. And I use this same strainer when I do my pasta as well. So we give it a nice rinse. I didn't wash it thoroughly because this is all going to go in the same place when we're done. So it's okay for just a quick rinse. Now I get my pasta in there. Let me show you what I do here. It's important to shock your pasta so that it stops cooking. And by shock, I mean you put some cold water on it immediately. So I have my dish warming up with cold water, and then I'm also going to spray some cold water. I use this same process every time, and once that pan is full of cold water, I'm going to go ahead and pour it over all that pasta. That's my initial shock. That's probably enough to stop the cooking process, but I want to be sure it gets chilled and stops cooking all the way through. So we're going to fill that up one more time. Now I'm going to go ahead and pour that pasta right into there and give it a nice little cold water soak. A little bit snuck over the edge, and that's okay. I'm going to just let that go. So I'm going to give this a little soak, move it around, be sure there's no hot pockets down in there hiding. Then we're going to go ahead and just pour that back into the china cap, let it strain out. That's it. It's a simple process. I put 1 pan of water over it and then another pan of water to soak it. And that's it. We're shocked and we're cool. We're going to just let that chill for a little while. We'll get back to that meat. Now we're going to season it. I'm going in with a couple heavy tablespoons of garlic. I have some salt. I'm going to do a little bit of black pepper. Then I'm going to throw in some Italian seasoning. That's got all the flavor I need right there. We'll give this a nice stir. Mix it around really well. We're going to go ahead and add in our tomato sauce. And guys, once I get this sauce in there, that's when the fun part comes. There's weird, odd things I really enjoy in cooking, and this is one of them. Mixing the meat and the sauce, it's really, really kind of satisfying for me. So I give that a nice stir, get it all mixed up really well. We're going to let this cook for about 30 or 40 minutes, let all those flavors meld together. That's all it takes. Once we get that cooked all the way through, then it's going to be time for the fun part. I'll start by grabbing the biggest bowl I have, and I'm going to get all that pasta in there. And I'm just going to kind of loosen that pasta up a little bit. Then I'm going to grab that sauce and just going to pour it right on top. And now here's an important step, guys. I'm putting on some more gloves. I actually have 3 layers of gloves because that sauce is hot and I want to mix it all up right now. I got to serve lunch here in just about an hour and I don't have a lot of time to waste. I don't have time to let this all cool off. So We're going to go ahead and start mixing, and trust me, it's still hot, burning right through 3 layers of gloves, but I do have a little bit of a barrier that I can get this done. So to this, once I'm a little bit mixed up, we're going to add some cheese. I got Parmesan and I got some mozzarella. That's going to make this just really flavorful and really cheesy as we mix it all through. It's exactly what we're looking for, guys. Cheesy baked spaghetti. And yeah, I said baked because we're going to bake this like a lasagna. Okay, so once we get all completely mixed up like this, let all that cheese get melty in there, then we're ready to take it again to the next level. So I get out my big pan. That's a 4-inch deep pan. We're making big giant pieces here. So I'll get it all in there, and then I'm just going to kind of flatten it out, guys. And then what I'm going to do is actually kind of start pressing it down. I'm going to compress it into here. I know the cheese is going to help hold it together a little bit, kind of like a glue, but I don't want it to just completely fall apart when I cut it. So once I have it compressed, it's time to do our final bit of cheese. And I got a block of mozzarella. I'm going to go ahead and get that grated up, set that aside, get that spaghetti back out. And guys, now we're going to just top this thing with a load of cheese. An entire block grated, and it's going right on top. My oven set to 350 degrees. I'm going to go in there for about 35 minutes. Look at that, golden brown. I let it rest for about 15 minutes so it does kind of firm up just a little bit. Go ahead and cut it into these giant squares. I've actually got 18 portions. I have a few alternative meals today. So we're going to cut that out. And look at that. It just holds together. It's cheesy and saucy. So I'm going to cut those all out. Unfortunately, I couldn't actually get a piece for myself, but there were some scraps left in the bottom of the pan, and that's what I got to get in there and try. And I tell you what, this was absolutely delicious, and I wish I had a whole piece for myself, but sometimes that's the way it works out. Anyways, it was absolutely delicious. What a treat. Thanks for watching, guys. Cheers, everyone.